Hello everyone, so today I'm doing a Japanese progress update video. It's number 15, which is amazing. I'm really excited about the fact that I've managed to keep up with Japanese for such a long time. I think it's been a year and a half now, so that's really exciting, and I hope you will enjoy what I'm going to talk about today. So what I want to do today is talk about my experience in the last month or two with Japanese, and then I'm going to talk about my goals with Japanese for the coming year, because that seems to be the trend at the moment, and that's quite a nice thing to think about. And then it would be interesting for me to watch this video at the end of this year and then compare my level between now and then later on, just to, I don't know, just to keep track of the progress. That could be something interesting to do, and maybe I will do a sort of not reaction video, but maybe I will sort of revisit what I talked about in this video and see how it compares to my level at the end of this year. And let's get started then. So I will be looking at my notes, so if I'm looking away from the camera, then don't be surprised. So what I wanted to talk about is my experience with Italki, because that's been the main thing I've been doing. If you wanted to know a little bit about my routine for Japanese, I made a video where I talk about my Polyglot Routine, in particular for Japanese, and you will have all the details in that video. But so I did Italki lessons with two different teachers. So one teacher was for conversation only, and that teacher barely spoke any English. There was almost no English during the conversation classes, which was perfect. And my other teacher, she's more for grammar, a bit of practice, but really it's about grammar and helping me improve it. So first, my conversation classes, they've been really useful. What I liked the most about them was that often it was a bit uncomfortable, because I mean, not like the teacher didn't make me uncomfortable, but it was more being in situations where I couldn't express myself super easily. And I always tell my students that's something to get used to when you're learning a language, because at first you're not going to be able to express many things because you're still a beginner. And that's the case for me. I'm very much a beginner in Japanese. And it's nice to get used to it and trying to find ways around phrasing something. And that's also a nice way also, you know, when you know you're stuck, that then you know there's a gap in your either grammar or vocab, so then I can ask the teacher and then it can help me. So yeah, that was, you know, something that was good to be comfortable with, and it's still kind of uncomfortable, but I know it's part of the game, so you know, I embrace it, I guess. And after each conversation class, I would then watch the video again, because the teacher allowed me to record it. It's not something all teachers allow, but you know, you can check with your Italki teacher or whatever platform teacher if they're okay with it, and I think that's a good exercise to do, because you can then revisit everything, make notes of the vocab, because you don't want to be writing while you're doing the lesson. I think that kind of breaks the not the flow, but the momentum, I guess, like, you know, the flow, I suppose. So I like to do this afterwards instead. And yeah, so that helped me learn a lot of vocab, kind of know where my gaps were in terms of, you know, vocab and grammar, so that was very useful. And then that's something that I could use for my other class, because then if there's a grammar point that I didn't nail, for example, I was struggling with expressing, you know, comparatives, comparing things, saying that something is more difficult than something else, for example. So hoga in Japanese. And it was good because I could tell my Japanese grammar teacher, let's say, that I wanted to practice this, and we did, and now I feel like I'm more comfortable using it, and then I can move on to the next grammar point. And I like that. I don't know how to explain, but it's a nice way to do it for me, because, you know, you first have to sort of talk, then see what's wrong, so to speak, with the way you express yourself, or what you're missing, and then you can fix a couple of the things you're missing, and then you build it up like that. And the more you do it, the more your grammar is stronger, and the more you'll know essentially about the language. And something I need to also say is that I've stopped temporarily to do conversation classes, because not because I didn't think they were great, they were really good, but I just feel like my vocab and grammar are too limited for me to keep on doing conversation classes. I didn't feel like I was saying anything useful. I feel like I was always kind of staying at the same level. I think I just need to sort of improve my level so I can say more things, and that means that I will have more things to practice, if that makes sense. I just kind of feel like if I don't have enough to work with, then I don't have enough to work with. That's it, you know. I'm gonna wait to get into more intermediate-ish Japanese before I can do conversation classes again. And then I feel like after a couple of weeks or maybe months, a couple of months without conversation classes, I will have more things to say again. And it'd be nice for for me to kind of see the progress and what the teacher tells me in terms of the progress I've made and stuff, because he knows me a bit, you know, he knows my Japanese because we've done almost 6 lessons together. So yeah, maybe I will even choose a different conversation tutor, I'm not sure. I kind of like the one that I had, so it's likely I will stick to him, but you know, I could change and swap between conversation teachers. That can be interesting to have different people because everyone brings something new, I think. And that's something that can be useful, you know, I think. So that's something to maybe bear in mind, that different teachers, different tutors will have strengths and weaknesses. And that can be a nice way to sort of have different sort of approaches, I guess, to have something that's a bit more like wholesome, I guess, holistic maybe is the word in English, but yeah. And then in terms of my grammar lessons, so I really enjoy them. I really like my teacher. I think she's great. The work we do together is efficient. The structure of the lessons are very simple, but they work super efficiently. We do first a bit of a recap, or we talk about the homework, because she gives me homework after every lesson, and you know, we just sort of tackle the couple of mistakes that I made, check if there's anything I want to ask questions about, etc. Then we usually do 2 grammar points, maybe 1 if it's a big one. So we do that, and then at the end, you know, either we finished on the grammar point or we have a couple of minutes to do a bit of conversation. So that's great, and I like that because she knows you know, Japanese grammar, and she's a teacher, so she will know like what to revise exactly. Like she will spot a mistake and she will be, oh, maybe Kevin, we should you know, practice this. And I'm like, yep, go for it. You know, I don't like to be too much in control of my learning in a classroom. I mean, I do give suggestions, but I like that the teacher tells me what she thinks she needs, because she's, I think, the most capable of knowing that. Just like with my students, if they make a type of mistake, I know how to adapt my lessons. I'm a French teacher, by the way. So I know how to, you know, what to do in the lessons to make them improve, because I know exactly what they're supposed to know at what stage, and if they don't know, then you know, I can redo it, if that makes sense. So I like to have a teacher that is you know, sort of like does that, I guess. And for those who would like to know, in terms of grammar, what I've done so far with this teacher, I mean, that's the main things we did. Obviously we did a bit more, but we worked on the T form. I kind of knew a little bit about the T form, but I was struggling with it. And now I feel like I'm more confident. I still need a bit of practice, you know. Whenever there's a new verb, I kind of need to think about the T form. And then as I practice this verb, then I just kind of know it instantly. But it's getting better. I'm better with the NI form, the short form, which is a dictionary form. I wasn't too comfortable with it at first, but I try to use it every now and then to speak more informally. I'm also better with the ta form, but once you know the T form, it's kind of easy. The T becomes ta, basically. And then I've learned how to express once. I mean, one way of expressing once, because I know there's hoshi, which I've used, but there's other ones as well. I've learned the comparative with hoga, like I said earlier, and the potential form to say can and can't. So, you know, there's hanashimasu, and you can say hanasemasu, which means I can speak, for example. So yeah, maybe there's someone that would like to know what I exactly do in terms of grammar, so here we go. So obviously I still have a long way to go in terms of progress, but I've really enjoyed the progress that I've made so far. I feel like in 2 months my grammar and vocab are much better. Still within beginner level, obviously. I'm not fluent, I'm not going to claim something that crazy so early on, but it's kind of nice to see just the progress. And it reminds me of something that Ophelia said on Twitter, so Ophelia there, if you know her. And she was talking about, you know, seeing progress. I think I tweeted about, you know, how it's important to compare your progress. And she said something that made me laugh. She was like, oh, sometimes I watch my older videos and I'm just like, well, I'm glad I'm not her in terms of, you know, progress. And I thought that was quite a funny way to put it. And maybe it will be the same thing for me when I watch my conversation classes videos. Hopefully when I watch them, I'll be like, well, I'm glad this is not me anymore. And now I would like to talk about my goals for Japanese. So there will be my goals for the year or maybe for the next few months. No pressure, it's just kind of a sort of thing to aim towards, I guess. So the first goal would be to cover all N5 grammar. So the lists lists, such a hard word to say. So the lists that you have online are not official ones, they're just sort of indications. And for me, that's how I'm going to use the N5 sort of content. It's not so much that I will do the N5, which was the original plan at the beginning, but now with COVID anyway, it's complicated. But maybe, you know, I'm just going to use it as a reference, just to sort of, I don't know, just as a reference really, like there's no other reason than that. And then my second goal will be to increase my vocabulary, obviously, but what I want to emphasize on is verbs in particular, because I feel like I do know the basic verbs like, you know, nomu, hanasu, yomu, etc., you know, like the very basic ones, but I want to be able to express more ideas, and I feel like without verbs, it's getting difficult. I think there needs to be a balance, you know, you have to probably know not similar, you can't just say like, you know, 10 nouns, 10 verbs and 10 adjectives, but, you know, having something that's kind of not like, you shouldn't have, you shouldn't know, I don't think, too many nouns and not enough verbs. You need to find something that's kind of balanced, and I want to do that more, because I feel like I'm lacking verbs to express ideas. So the third goal, and I'm really struggling to say the third goal, is to complete Japanese from Zero Book 3. So as you know, maybe I've done 2 reviews of the first 2 books, which I think are great. I really like this series, but because I'm focusing on my Japanese classes, I don't have time to invest into doing these books because I'm doing already quite a lot. But it would still be nice to be able to complete it on and off, you know, doing a bit of work on it every now and then. That'd be nice, because that can be a nice way to review what I've done so far. I mean, this series doesn't really have in mind the N5, N4 JLPT exam, but they do teach beginner stuff, so I think it would be a nice way to maybe learn more, because possibly there's going to be different things that I learn from this book than what I learned with my Japanese teacher who uses Genki 1. And it'd be a nice way to review as well. And also, you also learn kanji in this book, which is something I'm procrastinating on. But yeah, I'm not perfect. But yeah, I definitely want to also work on my kanji a little bit. Not too much, because I know that writing kanji is not so useful. I mean, it is, but not at my beginner level. But I still want to do it because I like to learn languages in a sort of holistic way. I don't want to just focus on 1, 2, or 3 skills. I want to focus on all of them. That's just my choice, basically. And this book would be nice to sort of help me with it. And then my last goal for this year would be to do a video in Japanese. So I don't know if that will be part of a Japanese progress update video. Maybe they will. That could be an extract of a video or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I'm waiting to be able to say more interesting things, because I don't think saying basic things is that interesting. I don't think. Unless you tell me otherwise, then do let me know. That could be good to know for me. But I'm going to wait to be able to say something a bit more consistent. Not consistent, but like a bit more contentful, let's say. And yeah, and you'll be the first ones to see this video. And on this note, I think I've been recording for a long time, so I'm going to stop there. And thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next week. Bye.